So the last thing I want to go ahead and talk about before we get out of here, I know I've been prattling on for who knows how long at this point, but let me just kind of talk about the overall tone of the series and just a couple of major points throughout the show. Because as I said, it started out very good. It started out different from every Sentai that I'd seen before. Because it started out where, first of all, the Megazord needed time to be formed together. They actually explained why the monster couldn't attack while the Megazord was forming, is because it needed a shield around it to protect it, and the monster couldn't get through while it was forming. That's brilliant. I have never seen that in another show before. That's the best way of explaining to people who are like, oh, well, why does the monster just sit and wait by while they transform? Well, now we have an answer. There's a shield around it, and they can't get through the shield, basically. So I thought that was great. And even I liked the villains because they didn't give them personalities. Every Sentai series has given the villains some sort of personality. So, like they'd be funny, they'd be cocky, they'd be drunk, they'd be whatever and stuff. In this show, what they did is they took an inanimate object, turned it into a robot, and they would fight the robot. But the robot wasn't a personality, it was just a robot, is what it was. But then they would use that technology they acquired, whether it was like a pizza cutter or a cannon or a radio tower, wherever it was, and use that as an add-on attachment for the actual giant robot, the Megazord, which would be transported in. So this series did not have the robot got larger and became a giant monster. It completely threw that trope away. It was now two different threats you had to deal with. Sometimes you'd have hours to prepare for the next one, or sometimes it would just be minutes, and you would have two monsters on your hand to fight. And again, no personality with these monsters, which was great. Unfortunately, somewhere down the line, somebody looked at the show and said, this is too dark, this is not enough fun, so let's go change it and make it less fun. So towards the end, there were a couple monsters that did have personalities, that did become jokey. And actually, I don't even think it was probably about halfway, maybe a little bit before halfway. So you got like the eraser monster, and then there's the tofu monster, which is pretty much the same thing and all that. And then there's the radio tower one, who was actually... Which actually reminds me, real quick, episode 39, when the Messiah thing sends that jet to capture the boat and the 747 out of the sky and turns into Data, did they ever explain what happened to the people? Did those people die? Did they become digitized and die? Because I'm sorry, every Sentai show I've seen is like when something like that happens, you always say at the end that they've all escaped and they go on to their normal lives. That did not happen in this episode. I was really bothered by that. I was like, so you just killed a whole plane full of people and a whole boat full of people, and yet you didn't show them coming back. So are they dead? And if they're dead, how come the characters don't have any remorse? How come there's no mourning? How come there's no consequences from that? Not to mention, I guarantee you on that plane there were some children on there. So the Rangers have to deal with child deaths. How come that was not addressed in the series? You can't just make a whole airplane disappear and say, oh, there was nobody on that plane. BS. No, you can't do that. I'm really upset about that. So anyway, back to the robots. So yeah, they gave them personalities later on. Really annoying. I did not like that at all. I was like, because they started changing things. Because eventually, the shield concept would not be brought up again. The monsters would have personalities and all that. And of course, it seems like the big issue is like so many Megazords at once is a problem, but when they go to the subdimensions, like they got through 14 of them with no problem. And actually, let me talk about them going to the subdimension, because halfway through the series, they go into the subdimension, and this is where I talk about they learn to let go, basically. And what it was that they go to subdimension hoping to find their parents. They go in there, they find the parents are Data, that they are all but dead, basically. And the only way to destroy Messiah is to kill them. That was a great episode because the Go Busters had to make a very, very hard choice that I don't think I could make in that position. But they thought about the situation and realized they had to do it. They pretty much had to kill their own parents to save the world. Other than Luke and Vader, I can't think of another time they would have to do that. Anybody would have to do that, let alone on Sentai or Power Rangers. I mean, that is just, I mean, wow. And that's why I talk about they had to learn to let go. That their whole vengeance was like, I can find them again, but then they find them and they can't be with them and they have to kill them to save the world. I mean, oh my goodness, that was such a great episode. And that really looked like the series finale when you think about it. I mean, it's like halfway through, it's like, wait a second, we got 20 more episodes to go. What the heck is going on? It was really good. I liked it. But I will say this about the subdimension real quick. 2 instances they traveled to the subdimension in Go Buster, because it's portrayed in cutaways as this dark, desolate, red, purplish sky. It's a barren wasteland. Yet every time that the Go Busters go there, it becomes sunny and bright and full of plants and all this other kind of stuff. I always hated when they did that because can you not put a filter on the screen? I don't care if they look purple. That's what you designed this subdimension to look like this barren wasteland. So why is it always sunny every time they go in there? They did that in the first episode, the halfway point, and did it in the final episode. We're going to the subdimension. Oh wow, look at this bright sunny day. That just really kind of bothered me. And then the series finale was pretty good. It seems like your standard fare, but a lot of cool action beats happen that don't typically happen in Sentai. And of course, the big thing at the end, and here's the thing: is the Rangers were having to make this choice. Well, not really make the choice, but in order to basically what happened is that the Red Ranger got a Messiah card in him, which bonded with him essentially, meaning that he could not die because it was protecting him, and the only way to defeat Enter was to destroy the card by killing the Red Ranger. Interesting conflict and dilemma. So much so the Red Ranger was going to commit suicide on at least 2 different occasions, which is very gutsy to do in a series for your main hero, let alone somebody in his 20s, to consider committing suicide to defeat the enemy. I guarantee that's not going to be coming over in the Power Rangers adaptation. In any case, they come up with a plan to take it out of him, but it would end up killing Jin in the process. And there's this beautiful, touching scene where he's like, I'm willing to sacrifice myself. The Rangers are like, no, we can't do this. We have to find another way. And then Jin just loses it. He loses his effing mind. He goes off on the Rangers saying, where is your resolve? Where has that been? Because if you're willing to do anything, then let me sacrifice myself. And it was really good. I love that. And then Yoko's just crying, and he looks her in the eyes like, what about your mother? And that's where I was hoping, that whole mother thing would come back that I wanted to see, but it didn't. But just wow, just that whole thing was just amazing. I really liked that. And in the end, that he dies. He straight up dies. I think the last time something like that happened had been in Abba Ranger. And I'm just like, wow, that was really good. So we only have 3 Rangers at the end, and of course Jay the Bellyroid. And you can tell, even though he's a machine, he has a soul, and he misses his friend. And that was his big concern through the whole thing. And he even has that Jenga piece, that black Jenga piece as a necklace now. So it was really good. I thought it was great, the ending to it. But here's my overall point that I'm getting at. The series started out really good, but then they lightened the tone of it somewhere down the line, and I didn't like it. If it was like the first few episodes of the series where it was this dark, practical world, because here's the thing. The first few episodes, they were shooting in locations that typically would not be in normal Sentai shows. They were shooting in angles that would not be in normal Sentai shows. They were having plots that were not in normal Sentai shows. And then down the line, they really started getting into those things like, oh, we must protect this kid, or this kid has a secret to whatever and stuff. And it fell back into the formula too much. And that's what bothered me about it. I wanted it to stay dark. What if the series ended with the Red Ranger committing suicide? My goodness, how great would that have been? Not to say suicide is a great story thing, but I'm just saying we've never seen that before, and that's the problem I had towards the end is that we started seeing what we would normally see, and we didn't see anything new. So I mean, I guess that's the thing. I mean, I liked it. Again, of the Sentai I've seen, it's better than Ghost Ager, I would go ahead and say. Probably still not as good as Geiki Ranger, because I still think that's the best Sentai that I've personally seen. Um, but yeah, it was good. I'm anticipating they're going to really dumb it down for Power Rangers, so we'll see what happens when we get there. I guarantee they won't follow the same plot. They'll make something completely new up. As to what that is, we'll go ahead and see. Because, it seems like this is almost like the red-haired stepchild of Sentai shows, because people didn't like the costumes, because it meant pleather, and it was too dark and whatnot. And again, they tried to address that towards halfway through the series. But I don't know. Here's the thing. I've rambled on for about an hour about what I thought about Go Busters and all that. I'd like to think I got all my thoughts out there. I've explained everything I liked about it, everything I didn't like about it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed these videos. Tell me what you think. Did you like Go Buster? Did you not like it? Do you like that they became lighter? Do you wish it was still dark? Guys, let me know. But I thank you for listening to me go on about this. Be expecting a similar video about this when Kyryuger ends. Oh, and by the way, look out, I will be doing a quick little video about Go Buster versus Go Buster. I have something interesting to say about that. So look for that, and that will basically include my thoughts on the Go Buster series. But again, thank you, have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.